Hey Valley Middle, welcome back to another math lesson. Today we're going to work on good old-fashioned division. Before we get going with that, let's look at something kind of fun. Just for fun question of the day, what is the largest type of big cat in the world? The largest type of big cat. All right, let's go back to the target page. Here we go. Today's target is, I can divide a 4-digit dividend by a 2-digit divisor. Well, it sounds like kind of a tricky target, but those words should be familiar. You should be familiar with those words by now. Let's make this a little bit larger so you can see it better. Three very important words to know when talking about division. First of all, the number that's inside the little house or the bracket is the dividend. There we go. The number that's outside that you're dividing is your divisor. So you're going to take 8 divided by the 2. And then your number up top is, of course, your answer. Take a look at it down here, too. Your larger number typically is inside the house, and this is a longer word. So that's how I remember the difference between dividend and divider. Dividend is larger, and it typically goes inside the house, especially at our level of math. The divisor, the smaller number, goes outside and in the quotient. Hopefully those little tricks will help you. Interestingly enough, the word that is most often used is they'll ask you for the quotient, so you don't have to worry about that confusion of dividend and divisor. Remember, dividend, big number, typically inside the house. Big number, big word. All right, let's move on here. All right, a couple of problems here. I'm going to do them. We'll start off kind of simple. 74 divided by 3. We're going to use our standard method of division. And I call this the question method because you end up asking yourself a lot of questions like, does 3 go into 7? And yes, of course it does. 3 goes in there 2 times, so I put a little multiplication symbol up here. So 3 times 2 is 6. And then I subtract that out. 7 minus 6 is 1. I ask the next question, does 3 go into 1? Of course, that doesn't fit. I look and see if I've got another number I can bring down, and I can bring down that 4, so now I can ask another question. Does 3 go into 14? And of course it does. 14 is big enough, so that'll go, I can't go in there 5 times, that would be 15, but I can go in there 4 times, so 3 times 4 is 12. And then I subtract those out. 14 minus 12, we've got 2. I ask myself again, can 3 go into 2? No, it can't. Are there any other numbers to bring down up here? No, there's not. So this here then becomes my remainder. So it goes in there 24 with a remainder of 2. Now, sometimes test makers like to throw you off and try to confuse you by writing the answer this way. 24 and 2/3. That is the correct answer because it did go in there 24 times and you had 2 left out of a group of 3. So you really have a fraction of 2/3. They love to put that on there and you're back redoing your problem trying to figure out what you did wrong when your answer is right in front of you. Don't forget, whatever's inside the house, that 74, is always equal to what's outside the house. And that would include any remainder. So 3 times 24 plus that 2/3, or remainder of 2. You with me still? All right. If you're in elementary school, you probably learned some other ways of dividing. I wanted to talk about one briefly today. At Echo Park, where I came from, we called it D2. Some people think it's for Division 2. I think it's for Danny Dudley. All right. It was my invention. Not really. All right. On this method here, what I like about this is that you don't have to do too much thinking. You're just doing repeated subtraction. Like you just start off, will 3 go into 74? Yeah, sure it will. How many times? It doesn't matter. I like powers of 10, so I'm going to take 10. Let's try it. 3 times 10 is 30. Put that in there and subtract it out. We got 4 and 4. Well, that was easy. Why not do it again? Let's put in 10 more groups of 3. So 3 times 10 is 30. Subtract that out. I've got 14 again. Wow, how about 4 times? 4 times 3 is 12. Subtract it out, you've got 2 left over. So you'll see that you still end up with the same answer. I've got my 24 right here. 10, 10, and 4 are 24. Put that there in case my picture here in the corner blocked out that 4. And also, I've got my remainder of 2. So you still end up with 24 with the remainder of 2, or 24 and 2/3. Okay? I do like this method. If it helps you, you can do it that way. One of the problems with it is it gets a little more complicated once we get into dividing decimals, which is right around the corner, literally, in the next couple of days. So I prefer this standard method here of multiplying, or of dividing. And of course, I'd like you to always take and check your work to make sure that you have the right answer, either by completing the problem once in division, check it with multiplication, or complete it with division and check it with another division method, or divide again. All right? Sorry, I dropped my pencil there. Let's move on. A little bit larger number, 343 divided by 16. Let's go ahead and I'll take you through this one here. Does 16 go into 3? No, it does not. Does 16 go into 34? Yes, it does. I know that 2 16s are 32, so 16 times 2, notice I put it right above that 4 because it goes into 34, not into 3. So 16 times 2 is 32. And if I subtract that out, I'm just going to rewrite this so you can make sure that you can see this nice and clearly. Didn't go in there, but it does go into 34, so 32. Subtract that out. I've got 2. Ask myself, does 16 go into 2? It does not. Do I have any numbers to bring down? Yes, I do. I can bring down this 3. Does 16 go into 23? Yes, it does. It goes in there 1 time. So 16 times 1 is 16. I've got to subtract here. I can't take 6 from 3, so I trade it out. 13 minus 6 is 7. I've got 1 left up there. 1 minus 1, of course, is 0. So my answer then is 21 with a remainder of 7, or that other way of expressing this is 21 and 7 16ths. I have 7 out of a total of 16 to make a whole. So these are both your answers. And let's just do a quick check on this one. I would encourage you to always double check your work, but if you're not going to, at least do an approximation or an estimation. Basically, you're saying that you got 16 times 20. And 16 times 2 basically is 32 plus your 0. So I just did a quick check on a quick estimate, and my answer is very close. All right, let's move on to the next problem. This one looks a little longer, huh? This is about the maximum you're going to get in 6th grade, right around 4 digits divided by 2. So let's take a look at this guy here. This is a little more complicated because right away I say, does 35 go into 3? No, it doesn't. Does 35 go into 34? No, it doesn't. Questions continue. Does 35 go into 340? Yeah, it'll definitely fit into 340. If it went in there 10 times, it would be 350, which is too big. So I'm guessing it's 9. But again, here's where I have to go do some work on the side. So I got 9 times 35 here. 9 times 35. 9 times 5, of course, is 45. Put my 5 down, and here's my 4. 9 times 3 is 27, plus those 4 are going to make 31, or 315. So 9 times 35 is 315. That looks like that's going to be good. So I'm going to go ahead and put the 9 in, and I write down my 315, and I can subtract that out. 0 minus 5 doesn't work, so I trade. Make this becomes a 3. And I've got 10 minus 5, which is 5. And I got 3 minus 1, which is 2. And then my 3's cancel out. So I have a remainder of 25. Now I have to look at this one here. Will 35 go into 25? No, of course it won't. And I do have one more number I can bring down, though, which is a 1. So I ask again, can 35 go into 251? Yeah, it can. The question is how many times? Well, I know that 9 times is 315, and that's too big. I'm wondering 8, that doesn't look like that's going to be close enough. I'm going to go ahead and try 7 to begin with and see if I get close to 251. So one more time, I'm working over here on the side. 35 times 7. 7 times 5 is 35. With the 5, carry the 3. 7 times 3 is 21. Plus 3 is 24. That gets me real close there, 245. So I think that's what we want to work with. So I'm going to go ahead and put that 7 up there. I've got my math work over here. I can just put that in, 245. And I can subtract. 11 minus 5 is 6. And then I've got 4 left over. 4 minus 4 is 0. 2 minus 2 is 0. I don't have any more numbers to bring down, so it looks like that would be my remainder then, because it is smaller than 35. So the answer to this problem is 97 remainder 6, or expressing it that other way, it's 97 and 6 35ths, because I have 6 parts of a pizza or a whole divided into 35 sections. So either of these, the correct answer. And I appreciate you hanging with me on that one. Make sure when you're planning to do your division work, which you're going to be working on for homework, make sure you leave lots of space so you can have space to do these problems out on the side like this and keep your work neat and organized. All right, I think it's time to go to the ticket for the show. Here we go. 2 problems, 420 divided by 16. And 1,421 divided by 13. I'll pause for a second so you can write them down. All right, I'm back. Let's go to get the answer to that just for fun question. Here we go. What is the largest type of big cat in the world? I know many of you were thinking like lion or jaguar. Actually, the largest type of cat in the world would be this ginormic cat dump truck. But that's not the kind of cat we're talking about. Actually, the largest type of cat is a tiger, which weighs up to 300 kilograms or 660 pounds. Nice kitty. All right, thanks for watching. Have a good one.